Do I have a motion on certification of proceedings?
Mr. Chair, I move that the closed meeting be concluded.
And the board certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which the certification applies. And 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second that the closed meeting be concluded, and the board certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. And the motion passes. Welcome everybody to the first school board meeting of the year. We hope everybody's having a great new year. We're now going to do a motion of closed session.
I move that the school board upholds the superintendent's recommendation for expulsion in student case number 010416-A. Second.
There's been a motion and a second that the school board uphold the superintendent's recommendation for expulsion in student case number 010416A. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion passes. At this time, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask our newest school board member, Ms. Suzanne Sloan, to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Here, we got it behind us.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this time, we have some announcements. The Personnel Committee, scheduled for Thursday, January 14th, has been canceled. The Mountain Vista Governor's School Governing Board will meet Thursday, January 21st, in the Warren County School Board office at 8 a.m. Chairman's Night will be Monday, January 25th at 5 p.m. in the School Administration Conference Room. There will be a school board work session on January 25th, Monday, January 25th at 6 p.m. in the School Administration Conference Room. There will be a building committee meeting on Thursday, January 28th at 8:30 in the School Administration Conference Room. The School Health Advisory Committee will meet Wednesday, February 3rd at 8 a.m. in the Central Complex Building Conference Room. The School Support Council will meet Wednesday, February 3rd at 7 p.m. in the School Administration Conference Room. The Special Education Advisory Committee will meet Thursday, February 4th at 5:30 p.m. in the Central Complex Building A Conference Room. The Finance Committee will meet on Monday, February 8th at 5 p.m. in the Fauquier High School Library. And the next regular school board meeting is on Monday, February 8th at 7 p.m. in the Fauquier, right here in the Falcon Room. Now we're going to citizens' time. Community involvement is an important component of a successful school division, and the school board welcomes public input. Please be respectful of all speakers and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Matters relating to personal or personnel issues cannot be discussed. When I call your name, please step forward to the podium here and state your name and your magisterial district. If we have a sign-up sheet, if anybody did not sign up, could you please see Ms. Callahan here, and we'll get you in line. We have 2 signed-up speakers tonight. It's best if you send your comments to clerk@fcps1.org for distribution to all school board members, so we see your comments. Thank you very much. Our first person to speak tonight is Linda Longworth from the Marshall District.
Now, I thought that we might have a little more than 3 minutes because of what was talked about in the SEAC, so cut me off when
Okay.
when you want me to be cut off. One. My name is Linda Longworth. I was raised here in Fauquier County and attended FCPS myself. I have 3 children. Can I talk about my children?
You can talk about them, just not too personal.
My daughter Meredith had a positive experience here at FCPS, has graduated from college, and will likely start her master's degree in the fall. My son Matt's experience was horrific. My son Max is 5 and has high-functioning autism. He attends Mountain Laurel Montessori School. Matt's 22 now, and I'm very aware that FCPS has no further obligations to him. The statute of limitations is up and his case is closed. His situation is not unlike many other students that have come through and are still coming through the FCPS system. So if you are familiar with his story these days, I use it only as a guide. Because the only training that has been provided at FCPS about school phobia that I'm aware of, that includes the special education process, was an hour or so long training given by Hank Millward of VDOE at mine and my mother's request. Identification and services provided to students with school phobia remains a systemic problem. So my intention was to speak about Matt's experience at FCPS and beyond, and to keep in mind that his story is one of many, many, many students who have been failed and who will continue to be failed if FCPS does not get serious about this issue. The National Institute of Mental Health says affects 1.3% of students to a serious degree and 5.5% of students to some degree. Experience is one of the most important things that students in this situation are lacking. Fauquier County Public Schools has had many opportunities to identify students' disabilities and provide services, and has continued to fail to do so. High school is one of life's most profound journeys, which ultimately should lead students from childhood into adulthood. It's where students should begin to find their place in the world. It's where they should have become more independent. It's where they should have continued to develop interests and strive for independent thought. It's where they should be given encouragement to support healthy growth of individuality and self-awareness. Instead, students are at home, sometimes in bed or in the closet, scared to death and not understanding what is happening to them. Even with therapy, often students are unable to function. Many students have fears that are specific to school, but as the days, weeks, months, and then years progress, the disabilities progress to the point that students are not able to leave their house.
Ms. Longworth, I just asked maybe one more minute, please. Thank you.
But the school has had nothing to offer, and students miss experiences that should help to give them courage so that they can be prepared to function in the present and in the future. There was a summit on better serving students with emotional disabilities sponsored by VDOE in 2010. These are a few quick facts. 25 to 35% of students with ED evidence characteristics of students with learning disabilities. 59 to 85% of students with ED are reading well below grade level. They have the lowest high school completion rate of any of the 13 disability categories. Students with ED are included less in traditional classrooms. Students with ED show the poorest outcomes and adult adjustment of any disability category. Nationally, school personnel have typically identified less than 1% of this population. ED students exhibit high levels of comorbidity with other disorders such as learning disabilities, ADHD, et cetera.
Ms. Longworth, do you have these in a written form that you could also send to us along with this? We're at a little over 5 minutes, and I need to probably call it there, but if you could please give that to clerk, Ms. Callahan here at clerk@fcps1.org. She'll make sure we all get all of that along with this information. And can you also please make sure to include your contact information, so if one of us needs to contact you, we can do that as well.
Sure. Can I say one more thing?
One more brief thing.
Okay. I really appreciate the VTSS system. I think it's a really good program for early intervention. But special education needs to be involved.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Orberg, please.
Chairman, members of the board, public visitors. My name is Jonas Orberg. I'm a professor at a university out of San Diego. I now live here in Fauquier County. A good friend of mine, I had a chance to talk to him a few years ago. He was the captain of Pearl Harbor, the naval base. And he told me one time they had a problem with a submarine. And you wonder what a submarine has to do with Fauquier County Public Schools, because we don't have any submarines around here. But he told me that they couldn't fix the submarine. So they brought in consultants to try to fix it. Well, none of the consultants could fix it. They came in, they hired the experts, and none of the consultants could find out what was wrong with the submarine. Well, they actually went to the person that worked in the submarine and asked them what was wrong with it. And, you know, this greasy old dude that had been working in the submarine for probably 75 years and had oil and grease all over himself, he told them what was wrong with it. Well, the reason I'm talking about submarine today is because something is broken within the system, and it's the special education office. I think we need to do a better job to take care of our children with special needs. And I'm going to ask the chairman and the members of the board to please look into the practices of the leadership, and we'll go on the special education office. There's some serious issues, and I understand that the school district may meet the minimum requirements, but the children with special needs are people, so we can't put a percentage of 70%, because that means that there is 30% or others that do not get the appropriate service. So, Chairman, I'm going to ask you and the members of the board to please look into the practices of the Special Education Office. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak this evening? Thank you very much. We now have reports. Board members, school board members may report on their liaison activities or committee meetings. And I'm going to start at the end with Ms. Wolf, please.
I attended a few things, but there's two in particular that I want to talk about. The Health Advisory Committee is really charged up, ready to roll for the sleep hygiene project that we've slotted them to do, and they're very excited and starting to build up subcommittees to get that rolling. So I'll keep you posted on that. I had the neat opportunity to attend, I guess the nurses in Fauquier County at all our schools attend a meeting every other month or so, where they're all together, and I attended part of that meeting, and I was really blown away with how much these people see. And it becomes real obvious that kids, I mean, it seems it would be obvious, but I learned it in spades listening to them talk, that kids go to the nurse's office for a lot of times beyond that they're sick. It's about a lot of different things that our nurses are dealing with, and I really just want to acknowledge all of them for all that they do to make sure our kids can go to school healthy and be there. And I'll report back on a couple other things I learned that I'm looking into a little bit about some needs that they may have. But it was great group of people.
Ms. Grove?
Yes, the building committee, I don't believe we had you all haven't seen the current minutes, I don't think.
It wasn't.
Yeah, there wasn't any because we haven't approved them yet. But we did talk about a number of things. A couple of them I will mention, one being the increased water rates for the schools in the town of Warrington. They came to, I guess, a middle ground after their initial rate increase was put out there, and after some negotiations, it looks like it's going to cost Fauquier County Schools about $12,000 for January through June of this year, and hopefully we will, $12,000 more. And that will be absorbed, I believe, within the budget. And then starting then for FY17, we will see increases and then look to see annual increases of about 3% is what they're saying now, I believe. And then at some point, you may hear something about the Alwington Boulevard and Appleton Campbell's need for a road dedication, and are we still in the works? Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's all I've got.
Great, thank you. Mr. Bland?
I would like to take a moment to share some information about the Mountain Vistas Governor School. As some of you may know, the Mountain Vistas Governor School will be adding 10th graders to its program beginning this fall, okay? Now, applications are available right now, so I encourage folks to pick up the applications and get them in no later than March the 1st. Now, later this month, on January the 26th, I believe, Tuesday, January the 26th, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., they will be holding an open house or an informational type meeting about this program at the Lord Fairfax Community College right here in Warrenton, okay? So please, folks, if you have an interest for submitting applications for Mountain Vistas Governor School, please be there. Or if you need to pick up an application, I believe those are available on the website. Please pick those up and get them returned as quickly as possible, okay? Thank you.
There are a limited number of seats per grade level?
Yes, there are.
Limited number
and
per grade.
I don't have those broken out with me right now.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Sloan?
Thank you. I was sworn in last Monday, and just want to say thank you to all of the current board members. What a pleasure it is to join this esteemed board, and thank you to Dr. Jack and Dr. Mitchell, Mr. Finn, Ms. Bourne, and others. Your warm welcome has just been wonderful, and I look forward to having my next report when I will have attended several of the committees that I've been assigned to. So thank you. Very happy to be here.
Fantastic. Dr. Jeck?
A few things. The VASS Winter Conference will be this Wednesday and Thursday in Richmond. I'll be attending that. And that's a good opportunity to lobby some of our local politicians and learn a little more in-depth information relative to the governor's budget and where the governor's budget stands within the House of Delegates. I just want to remind folks again that the superintendent's proposed budget will be presented here on January 25th. And then on February 22nd is the public hearing on the budget. Actually, the 25th is a work session, so it'll be at the school board office. The February 22nd will be the public hearing on the budget, proposed budget. I wanted to mention also that the superintendent's annual report is now available online. Thanks to Karen Parkinson for putting that together. It's magnificent, as always. And that's all. That's all I've got.
Great. I'm excited for an activity that Ms. Wolf and I are going to this week, a DECA contest that we're both judges at. So very excited about that and how it aligns to a lot of the marketing education that we do in this community. I also attended the Special Education Advisory Committee. Just 3 things to report out from that. One, we had a presentation about postgraduate education and activities and support that we provide students through the Special Education Department. Ms. Payne provided that presentation. It was very helpful to see what is done, particularly with limited funds and resources. And certainly, I want to reiterate the thanks to the partners in the community, the employers, particularly who employ a lot of those students and give them the experience that they're going to need. So thank you for that. We discussed some of the website updates that have been requested by the committee to the SEAC website, and some of them will be also to our board site, just some fairly simple things. So we'll take a look at that. I also encourage them, and I think that the chair sent to every member of the SEAC committee the response that we received as an information item in December to the SEAC report provided by Mr. Corpening. So those were the highlights from that. Moving on to other reports, unless there's anything else. Our financial management report. Mr. Munch will present the financial management report tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the school board. Just wanted to give you a brief overview of the finances through November 30th, 2015. If you look at the first chart, you'll see the operating revenues and expenditures. Basically, we're at about $53 million year-to-date so far out of $135 million of anticipated revenue. This is about 39.5%, and that is basically right on track with where we were at the same time last year, which was 39.4% at this time. There's really nothing to report there. On the expenditures by category, we're at approximately $51.7 million out of $135 million that we budgeted for the year. Really nothing in terms of category basis that jumps out. It's essentially where everything was last year. We're at about 38.2% of the total year's budget through November 30th, and last year at this time we were about 38.7%, so we're tracking very nicely with where we were in the previous year. The next slide shows our other funds. We have the School Asset Replacement Fund, School Textbook Fund, and School Nutrition Fund. With the School Asset Replacement Fund, one thing that I wanted to point out was the revenues of $6 million does include fund balance that's been appropriated. The balance that's remaining right now with the School Asset Replacement Fund is about $1 million of revenue left, and I wanted to point out one item there, which is included in that there's a $400,000 transfer from the county for the school bus lease program that we started last year. That will be occurring sometime in the next month or two as we receive those buses and finalize the lease agreement and everything. With the textbook fund, everything is pretty well on track on the revenue side. The expenditures on that are relatively low, and that's because we have several adoptions that are currently in process, and so we should start to see those expenditures jump up as we go through those processes. And on the school nutrition fund, so far we are about $1.5 million in revenue. We have about $1.7 million in expenditures. There was the agency that provides the federal revenue on the school nutrition fund was in the middle of a conversion process with their software, and that caused some significant delays with the revenue there. We have started to see those come in December and January, so I think as we get further into the year, we'll start to see those revenues bump back up to match the expenditures a little bit more closely. The next couple of slides were some graphs that I had prepared. The first one shows our operating revenues by type. One of the things that I wanted to point out here is just simply that the two major revenue sources, the county transfer and the revenues from the state, are tracking very nicely with where we would expect. We're at about 36% on the state revenue and 43% of what we have for the year on the county side, and that's exactly where we were last year and where we'd expect to be.
08 on this. This would be interesting to see back to 08.
Back to 08?
Back to 08 would be good to see. Just saying.
Pocket, but I probably can get those by the next meeting. So.
That'd be great.
Okay. And then on to the next one. This one, obviously, the major category of the expenditure, this is a 5-year comparison by category as well. The major category is instruction. And instruction, again, is at 36% of what we had budgeted for the year, which is right on par with where we expect to be. The nice things about these, this is a 5-year comparison by category, so it shows you the growth in each of the different categories over 5 years, and then it shows you how the current year compares with those. And I can do this back to 08 if so desired. Okay.
That would be great.
And then finally, the last graph that I'll share, this is essentially what I've done is I've looked at the velocity of our expenditures going back 5 years, what we typically spend on a per month basis by percentage, and then applied those percentages to the current year budget. That is the sort of dashed green line, and then the solid green line is where we are for the current year. So if you look at through November, each of the months prior to December, we're pretty much tracking very closely with where we would have anticipated to be. We are, again, at about 38% of our total budget for the year, which ties very much in line with what we expected the previous 5 years. And I am here to answer any questions you may have, unless they relate to going back to 2008, which I don't have.
No, these are great charts. I like them.
Okay.
Great. Can you send them to Marcy Kotov just to say?
Marcy never gave us graphs.
I don't believe he said.
They're good, though. I like them.
So to me, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So,
That's great.
The significance of 2008 is this, the states in this governor's budget is trying really hard to get back to pre-2009 funding levels.
Oh, okay.
Because that was sort of the time when the state budget started really taking hits.
Economic downturn.
So the state is working very hard to, let's get back to 2009 funding levels. So we would love to send that message on to.
We'd like to remember what it was like.
Yeah.
Was. 'Cause that was 6 and 7 years ago. It's been a long time, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Any
Okay.
other questions?
No, that's great. Great charts.
Thank you.
Ms. Downs will present the Human Resource Department report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the school board, Dr. Jack. The following is a brief summary of the activities occurring in the Human Resources Department for the month of December. We are currently recruiting for 2 full-time and 2 part-time certified positions and 6 classified vacancies, but 7 are posted. In addition, we're gearing up for that favorite time of the year, recruitment season. So we're going to start with substitute teacher training on January 20th. As we have changed the process, anybody can come. They don't have to do any prerequisites. They can come to walk through the door to see if this is the job for them, and then we will take them through the necessary steps. So that will be hitting public media over the next couple of days to advertise. In addition, we are still working on classified quarterly job fairs. This is in conjunction with the county. We've had them at several times at Fauquier High School cafeteria. So on February 24th, it will be another big push to fill bus drivers, custodians, as well as school nutrition. And then our annual teaching fair, mark your calendars, is April 16th. And so we hope to see some of you there to help us out. The rest is just our college visits. I thought that if we started posting that, you all could know which colleges we'll be visiting. Any questions this evening?
I would like a pie chart or something.
I could, I can do some graphs, so I will raise the bar. We'll have some crafts next time. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Downs. I have a motion on consent agenda.
I move.
It's always done.
That the minutes, to approve the minutes from the November 23rd special school board meeting and work session, the December 14th school board meeting, and the January 4th school board organizational meeting, the monthly bills and payroll, and the personnel actions, which include the hiring of 1 teacher, 1 instructional assistant, 5 bus drivers, and 2 custodians, the resignation of 2 teachers, 2 bus drivers, 1 school nutrition worker, 2 custodians, and 1 office associate, and the retirement of 1 teacher and 1 director of construction.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes from the November 23rd special board meeting and work session, the December 14th school board meeting, and the January 4th school board organizational meeting, the monthly bills and payroll, and personnel actions, which include the hiring of 1 teacher, 1 instructional assistant, 5 bus drivers, 2 custodians, the resignation of 2 teachers, 2 bus drivers, 1 school nutrition worker, 2 custodians, and 1 office associate, the retirement of 1 teacher and 1 director of construction. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion passes. We move on to information items, and Dr. Mitchell will present the new high school courses.
I don't have graphs, I do have pictures, okay? I do have a picture here for you. Good evening, Chairman of the Board, Dr. Jack, and members of the Board. The administration, that includes Dr. Jack and our instructional supervisors, are asking that the Board approve all of these courses at your January work session, if that's possible. I'm just going to provide you a brief overview of some of the new courses or redesigned courses. The first one is animal care. It is the second level. This is within our ag department. It's the second level of the course that you approved about 2 years ago called Introduction to Animal Systems. And I don't know if you have any questions about that. It's about small animal care and a few units on large animal care as well. Careers in Construction has actually started in a pilot form right now at Southeastern. It is, as we've told you about this before, we are working with several architecture firms, and they're coming to be with the students, and I actually have pictures of them working right here. This and I'm going to give these to you. This gentleman is the Virginia Tech professor who's working with us, and some of the students that they're working on their first project on height and some other things. They're very excited. A lot of smiling students, and that's good. This is at Southeastern Alternative School, I'm happy to say. The next course, new course, is Theater 4. Students and teachers were asking for another level of theater that would go to the more advanced level. There's directing is going to be the focus of that course. Technical theater, I put revived here. I didn't know what word to use, resuscitated. I don't know what quite word it was. But we offered technical theater many, many years ago. But we could not find the record, so we wanted to be sure we had it on the record that you approved it. But this has to do with stage construction and those people who take care of the stage. So that's a part of it. Yes, and props. Spanish for Fluent Speakers, another course that we used to have really under another name some years ago. But for many of our students who come from another country that are fluent in a language, going through Spanish 1, for example, does not fit what they need. They do need some linguistic kind of instruction, but we have designed a course for them or others who may be fluent in a language so that they can take this particular course and then perhaps move on to Spanish or French 3, etc. Okay? And I'm happy to announce that we're going to have guitar ensemble. You can see the description there, but what I'm most excited about, you will see it has no prerequisite. So many of our music students, if they did not take it in middle school, are not able to access it in high school music. And some of them want to try it, but we have not been able to do that. So this is a course that has no prerequisite, and we're delighted about that. The other courses, no vote is really required. We have changed names. Electricity 1 and 2 were formerly called Building Trades. Theater 3, we changed the name because we changed Theater 4. And Human Geography AP was formerly only offered online, but we had about 11 students last term, and we thought, why aren't we offering this face-to-face? Because we believe the benefit of collaboration and communication and some other things might benefit the students. I just want you to note that last year there were a lot of STEM classes introduced. This year the focus is more on humanities and the arts, and we think that's going to give our students a balanced program. Any questions?
Good.
Okay. I'll take questions by email if you'd like, or
Great,
if you have
thank
other
you.
things. Okay.
And
Thank
we'll have this on the January work session.
you. Okay. Thanks.
Next up is Greg Livesey will present on the Marshall Middle School chiller request. Mr. Livesey.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I am here this evening to request authorization. The chairman authorized a contract with Paramount Mechanical Corporation, in the amount of $272,500 to replace the existing HVAC chiller at Marshall Middle School. This project will include the removal of the existing water-cooled chiller along with a cooling tower and is being replaced with an air-cooled chiller. This is a like project to the project currently underway at Cedar Lee Middle School. We're planning to have the work done as soon as possible prior to the start of the spring cooling season. So hopefully by mid-April at the latest, it will be complete and ready to go. Building committee staff has reviewed this request and I believe is okay with the request.
We're all in consensus.
There you go.
To say that earlier.
That's all right. And Paramount Mechanical has performed replacements for us in the past. They did the work at Grace Miller Elementary School not quite 2 years ago with a like machine. So, yes, I would like. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Are there any questions? Great. Thank you very much.
Chiller.
Now, Ms. Bourne will now present the support of HB House Bill 50 passing stop school buses and the mailing of summons.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Jack. Tonight, we're asking you to add support for House Bill 50 and Senate Bill 16 to your legislative priorities, as well as to authorize the superintendent to send a letter to our local legislators to support these bills in this upcoming General Assembly session. These bills amend the Code of Virginia to allow the mailing of summonses from traffic violations for vehicles or drivers that pass stop school buses when they're discharging or taking on students. The code currently allows local government to authorize the school division to implement video monitoring systems on the buses, on the bus stop arms. And this will help support violators, to show the details for violators. But they have a gap in the bill, and they don't allow the summonses to be mailed. They have to be hand-delivered. Some school divisions had already implemented using video monitoring systems, and in October, when the Attorney General issued an opinion that said because the law doesn't specifically allow it, that they would have to be hand-delivered, they stopped. We had already been in the process of pursuing this option. We hadn't gotten far enough to have an ordinance adopted by the local government yet, but we still would like to do that if the General Assembly amends the bill to allow the summonses to be mailed. Our drivers over the years have had some problems with this. You know, most drivers follow the law, but there are drivers who get impatient and pass school buses when they're stopped. And we'd worked with the Sheriff's Department, and they had said if we could get enough information, they would pursue contacting those drivers. But really, if they don't see it, they can't issue a citation. All they could do is warn them. And it's very hard for our bus drivers to get enough detail because they're busy dealing with their passenger, they're paying attention to traffic. And so just to get a license plate, a description of the car, and information from the vehicle, it's very hard to do. If we have had certain locations that have been problematic, and we call the sheriff's office and they'll send someone out and put a patrol out for a few days to monitor it to see if they can help. And they did that recently at one location, and they did get some speeders. But you know, you see a patrol car, and drivers tend to follow the law a little better than they might if there's not a patrol car there. So we do feel like this is important legislation, and that we would like to see it pass this General Assembly so that we can implement it locally, and we'd ask that you support it. We have also asked the county to do that, and they're going to add it to their agenda for Thursday. And of course, we don't know what action they'll take. And we do ask that you move this to action tonight. Any questions?
Are you going to add a little blurb to add to our legislative priorities? So some little thing that goes in there.
Am I going to add a little blurb? Yes, ma'am, I am. with Ms. Callahan.
Yeah, because I didn't read quite fit, but something.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we will. Oh, yes, we will. And I have, you did get copies of the House and Senate bill too, and we will
Yes,
take
so good.
something to add to your legislative priorities, absolutely. Any other questions?
Yeah, I would just, if you have an opportunity this week, mention it to your Board of Supervisor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just that, because they're going to be hearing it on Thursday, hopefully. And I've already talked to mine and just mention that what it is and what's going on.
And if you're in Richmond, you might
Right.
mention it to the delegates and senators. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I would like to offer that the school board move information item 12B and 12C to action item 13B and 13C for consideration for approval this evening.
Second.
Been a motion and a second that the school board move information item 12B and 12C to action items 13B and 13C for consideration for approval this evening. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion passes. We move on to action items.
I'll move that the school board approve the 2016-2017 and 2017-2018 school year calendars.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second that the school board approve the 2016 through 2017 and the 2017 through 2018 school year calendars. Is there any discussion?
I just would like to thank Karen Parkinson for all her work in heading up that survey. That really helped a lot, so that was great. Thank you.
Yep, I hope everybody was excited when they saw this window for graduation dates. That makes this calendar really nice.
And I just want to say the feedback from our survey that we did, at least of people after 1 year of having this school year calendar, particularly with the first semester ending before the winter break, has been very positive. And we also are getting anecdotal feedback from educators, teachers, administrators, that this has been a really helpful time for them, particularly turning the turn and some other things as well. So from an education perspective, it seems that we've hit on something. And right now, I say my chairmanship will be the one where there are no snow days. So I can, that's my only goal.
It's in the minutes.
Yeah.
It said no.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion passes. Marshall Middle School chiller.
I'll move that the school board authorize the chairman to execute a contract with Paramount Mechanical Corporation in the amount of $272,500 to remove the existing HVAC chiller and cooling tower and install a new air-cooled chiller at Marshall Middle School.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second that the school board authorize the chairman to execute a contract with Paramount Mechanical Corporation in the amount of $272,500 to remove the existing HVAC chiller and cooling tower and install a new air-cooled chiller at Marshall Middle School. Any discussion?
I just want the board to know that this is a good move. And yes, we had to replace it because of repairs, but to move to the air-cooled system, it's a much more efficient system, and it should have a better useful life as well.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no, and the motion passes. Motion for support of HB 50 passing stop school buses and mailing of summonses.
I move that the school board include support for House Bill number 50, HB 50, as part of its legislative priorities and further authorizes the chairman to send letters to local legislators requesting their support of this bill.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second that the school board include support for the House Bill number 50 as part of its legislative priorities and further authorizes the chairman to send letters to local legislators requesting their support of the bill. Any discussion?
Could we add in that motion Senate Bill number 16?
That's a good idea.
So that it says both. Yeah.
And the heading just says
Friendly
50.
amendment.
There's been an amendment. And who made the original motion?
I did.
Okay, do you accept the motion?
I accept this amendment.
Okay. There's been a motion, and I'll restate the motion, that the school board include support for House Bill number 50 and Senate Bill number 16 as part of its legislative priorities, and further authorize the chairman to send letters to local legislators requesting their support of the bill. Any further discussion? The only discussion point I want to say, we are going to talk about legislative priorities again at the January work session. So we will revisit, we will see this and others at that session to discuss. Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. And the motion passes.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to adjourn. We are now
Susan, you jumped on
adjourned.
that one.
Good job, Brown.